Part 65. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 641. Chapter 641 7 Freaks of Jiangnan. Fourth brother, you have been trapped by the wind and sand for several days. Are you really okay? I hope you don't have any internal injuries. After listening to the nonsense made up by Nan Ziren played by Xiaoming, Han Xiaoying first expressed her concern for the health of the fourth brother. Zhang Ashen laughed and said, "Don't worry, seventh sister, there will be good fortune after surviving a disaster. Fourth brother has been enlightened by the gods. There will be no internal injuries, right?" Quan Jinfa is meticulous and doesn't dare to believe in such supernatural things. He asks suspiciously, "Fourth brother, are you sure that those are true? Did you fall for the trick of the charlatan?" Han Baoja didn't take it seriously, and said carelessly, "What are you afraid of? When the enemy comes, the general will stop it and the water will come, the earth will cover it. Besides, this is the desert, where can there be charlatans? Sixth brother thinks too much. Fourth brother, come, show your skills to the brothers." Cajun Wu and Zhu Kong were silent throughout the whole process, listening to everyone's words, while secretly wondering whether the fourth brother's words were true or false. "Brothers, what I got from the mirage is internal strength. We are brothers of the same mind. Since it was given to me, it was given to everyone. You feel it first," Xiaoming said, and poured a small amount of Chang Shengju internal strength into Han Baoju, Zhang Ashen, Quan Jinfa, and Han Xiaoying. The eldest and second brothers were not in a hurry, so they let them observe first. Chang Shengju is a low-profile version of the immortal cultivation technique. The internal force stimulated by the Chang Shengju is of great benefit to the human body, far exceeding other exercises. This strand of internal force can even make people younger for a few days. This feeling can be clearly felt by ordinary people, let alone those who practice martial arts. Han Baoju was the first to shout loudly, "TNND, it's so comfortable. I must learn this kung fu." "Sister, you have to learn it too." In a hurry, Ma Wangshen directly burst out with swear words, upgrading the status of his third brother. He didn't forget to bring his cousin. Zhang Ashen and Han Xiaoying also felt the benefits of the Chang Shengju, and their eyes looked at each other at the first time. Zhang Ashen is tall, but too fat. Although he admires Han Xiaoying in his heart, he has always been ashamed of himself and dared not say it. This is really not like a child of the rivers and lakes. Among the brothers, a few knew his intentions, but did not take the initiative to help. Probably because they felt that Zhang Ashen was not worthy of Han Xiaoying. If there is a decent man to marry Han Xiaoying in the future, I believe that the other brothers, including Zhang Ashen, will bless Han Xiaoying. This time, under the impact of the inner force of Chang Shengju, Zhang Ashen suddenly inexplicably gained a little confidence. He dared to look at Han Xiaoying, and in the eyes of both parties. Both of them understood each other's intentions. A beautiful marriage began to take root. Unfortunately, the other brothers were shocked by the inner force of Chang Shengju and did not pay attention to the eye contact between them. Xiaoming did catch a glimpse. But without seeing the life energy, Xiaoming, a otaku, was not sensitive to such things. He didn't care much. Quan Jinfa smacked his lips, thought for a while, and said, "What a strong inner force, more than what I have accumulated in more than 10 years. This deal is worth doing." Cajun Wu and Zhu Kong looked at each other, nodded to each other, and stretched out their hands to Xiaoming at the same time. Xiaoming understood and immediately sent 2 strands of inner force over. The two believed Xiaoming's words mainly because the Jiangnan 7 freaks trusted each other enough. They did not doubt the character of the fourth brother just now, but they were worried that the fourth brother might be deceived. But Nan Ziren was the most stable one among the few people, and his kung fu was second only to the two of them, so it was unlikely that he would be deceived. The reactions of the other 4 brothers, sisters, after receiving the internal force also proved the awesomeness of this internal force. Kay and Zhu believed it completely. In addition, Xiaoming should also thank the background of this era. People in the Southern Song dynasty were still willing to believe these supernatural words. The acceptance of Xiaoming's nonsense was very high. He strayed into the desert and was trapped by the wind and sand for several days and nights. When he was on the verge of death, he encountered a mirage. He escaped from death and saw several internal force pictures. This kind of story cannot deceive modern people. Even if it is true, no one would believe it. It was easy to accept in ancient times. What happened next was both simple and difficult, and Xiaoming was both happy and upset. After the eldest and second brothers experienced the secret of longevity, they knew that their internal strength was not good enough. They resolutely abandoned their original skills and practiced the Changsheng Ju instead. This was because their internal strength was not good enough, so they were willing to do so. The 2 strongest ones were willing to practice the Changsheng Ju, let alone the others. So the Jiangnan 7 freaks collectively entered the era of internal strength training. Xiaoming's first step to change his fate was easily completed. However, the next second step was Xiaoming's painful era. It was so difficult to teach them the Changsheng Ju. The martial arts talents of the Jiangnan 7 freaks were generally not high, so their martial arts were in such a state. Xiaoming never expected that the fastest learners and the best practitioners were Zhang Ashan and Han Xiaoying, the young lovers. The Changsheng Ju actually doesn't depend on whether a person is smart or not, but mainly on a person's understanding and even mentality. Zhang Ashan and Han Xiaoying fell in love with each other and soon got married with the witness and blessing of their brothers. The mentality is just the best time. It only took them a month or so to learn a picture. Their chi could also boost each other. This is the characteristic of the inner strength of Changsheng Ju. Later, the inner strength of the Jiangnan 7 monsters could help each other. This is a later story. The second is Zhu Kong and Quan Jinfa. Relatively speaking, Zhu Kong's intelligence still played a role. Quan Jinfa was young, only in his 20s at this time, and his brain was very active. It took them a quarter of time to stumble and learn 2 sets of pictures. The eldest brother Ke Jinwu and the third brother Han Baoju were miserable. Both of them were strong-willed and irritable, and they were not in tune with the Taoist mind method of Changsheng Ju. However, these 2 were still determined not to give up. The other 5 monsters all practiced Changsheng Ju. How could the 2 of them hold their brothers back? They had to practice it even if they died. This impatient mentality made their practice process more bumpy. Xiaoming had to use the dumbest method. He chose a picture, simplified it, and reduced some effects. Then he used his inner strength every day to help the 2 of them practice. He persisted in the game for about half a year. Only then did the 2 of them get used to it and master the simplified Changsheng Ju internal energy. Of course, it took several days in real time. Fortunately, after Xiaoming did it more than a dozen times, the system automatically took over this task, and defaulted to Nancy Ren helping Keihan and the others practice every day. Otherwise, if Xiaoming had to do it himself, he might not be able to stick to it. It is inconvenient without the help of supernatural energy. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 642. When the last 2 of the Jiangnan 7 freaks also mastered the Changsheng Ju, the 7 people's training process became very exciting. We know that the practice of Changsheng Ju can promote each other. They can also help each other in battle. The Jiangnan 7 freaks are just a lot of people. The best training mode for the Jiangnan 7 freaks should be 7 people practicing together. The 7 people have a tacit understanding, and the speed of practice is simply super fast. But if 7 people practice together, it will inevitably reduce the defense ability. In the territory of the Mongols, they can't be so bold. So they basically practice when one group of people practice, and the other group is responsible for protection. There are very few times when 7 people practice together. If they are a little selfish, the Jiangnan 7 freaks should find a safe place where no one is around, accumulate enough food, and practice in seclusion. After the 7 people have mastered the Changshengju, they will come out to venture into the world. At that time, they will be invincible. But doing so means giving up the search for Liping and Guojing, which is something the 7 freaks will never do. So the 7 monsters still had to practice while searching for a Han mother and son in the desert. They could not achieve the best training speed. The 7 monsters usually practiced in 3 groups. Zhang Ashen, Han Xiaoying and Han Baoju were in one group, and they practiced 3 different longevity techniques. With the support of his sister and brother-in-law, although Han Baoju practiced a simplified version of the longevity technique, his internal strength progress was not much behind. Zhu Kong and Wang Jinfa supported the eldest brother Cajun Wu. Their group also had 3 pictures, but the growth of internal strength was obviously not as fast as the other group. Nan Ziran, played by Xiaoming, could practice 3 pictures at the same time. Moreover, he could join any group to practice together, and his cultivation was even faster. However, the time flow rate inside and outside the game was different. When the time of the other 6 monsters was accelerated in the game system, their internal strength increased rapidly. Although Xiaoming made the fastest progress per unit time, he could not enjoy the system acceleration. His progress in internal strength was being rapidly caught up by the other people. Huang Xiaoming seemed a little more anxious. As a result, Green Xiaoming and Silver Xiaoming often had to put down their work and practice with him. Try to make Huang Xiaoming's internal force enter the room as soon as possible. After reaching a certain level, things in the secret realm will be easier to handle. In the matter of practicing the longevity secret, only Green Xiaoming and Silver Xiaoming can help, even the shadow clone is powerless. Green Xiaoming is watching the construction of the insect nest, but he doesn't care. Green Xiaoming is not obsessed with the insect game. After getting clues from Maki, Silver Xiaoming actually wanted to go to the Hunter secret realm to meet all the members of the Phantom Troop. However, there is always not so much free time for him. He has never made progress in the Hunter secret realm. Many things have been delayed by practicing, and the only thing that has not been delayed is the daily business of feeding the light spirit. These are all lifesavers. Xiaoming really hopes to help them in other ways. In the blink of an eye, the time in the real world came to midnight on July 25th, and another reincarnation space was opened. Dear Golden Guest, a D-level reincarnation team used a high-level tracking spell on your team. Do you want to use anti-tracking props to unlock it? Xiaoming suddenly heard a reminder from Qingxinglu. What? Xiaoming was also surprised. This was the first time he encountered such a thing. After several missions, Xiaoming bought a lot of props in the raiding mall. Among them were tracking and anti-tracking props. In addition, he had read similar plots in novels. Xiaoming was mentally prepared for tracking. And the Mingjing team established by Xiaoming itself has certain anti-tracking permissions. Low-level tracking props will not work at all. In recent days, the Mingjing team has never been the target of tracking. It is really a bit strange that it suddenly came today. Xiaoming thought for a while and understood. The forces he disguised have begun to attract the attention of all parties on Pangu Star. According to the information fed back by Hong Chao and the Li family, there are indeed some forces that have not accepted the new force represented by Xiaoming. This should be a serious challenge. If anti-tracking props are used, it will appear that one side is guilty. The other side sent only a D-level team of reincarnations. They did not bully the weak too much. They were still sensible. This kind of challenge should be accepted, not avoided. If you avoid it, you will be easily underestimated by all forces. Xiaoming is still somewhat confident in himself. As long as it is not a team full of A-level reincarnations to deal with him. Even if it is a B-level team, Xiaoming feels that he can handle it. What's more, it is only a D-level team. Now all members of the Mingjing team have real strength not lower than D level. The team has not been upgraded, only because the number of tasks completed is not enough. The strength is already enough, and this does not count for myself, so come on. Xiaoming informed the whole team about this matter, and it really won the unanimous approval of all members. They are even eager to try. A sword shines coldly on Zhu. Kraken has been suppressing his strength in battle, and has long wanted to have a good fight. Xiao Jing'er and Wen Ji's strength has also skyrocketed, and is constantly growing. They also have the urge to try their skills. By the way, since Huang Xiaoming's soul was fixed in the body of the replica Xiaoming, every time Xiaoming enters the reincarnation world, 3 bodies will go into battle together. Green Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming are nicknamed the leader's left and right guards. Among the 2 foreign aides, Kraken is on the technology side and has no reaction to the addition of 1 more player. Zhao Zhu seemed to have seen the clues and smiled strangely at Xiaoming. Xiaoming scratched his head. If this guy can even see through the clone, it is really amazing. Xiaoming misunderstood here. It was not Zhao Zhu who saw through Green Xiaoming as a clone of Xiaoming, but Xiaoqing 9527. Zhao Zhu got the news from her. Zhao Zhu could not see through the newcomer Huang Xiaoming. The other team successfully tracked, and this time the mission world automatically became a confrontation world between the 2 teams. As soon as he stepped into the reincarnation world, Xiaoming felt the excitement of the chakra in his body. This must be the world of Naruto. Mainline Task 1, Mingjing team automatically becomes the Genin team of Konoha village. Please complete 3 D-level tasks within 7 days. The D-level missions in Konoha village are boring. Master, can I not go? Perhaps because they are closer, Terakyushu became more casual when talking to Xiaoming. Yes, little master. I have also been to the Hokage secret realm, and the D-level missions are really super boring. Wen Ji also expressed his strong dissatisfaction with the D-level missions. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 643. Seeing that 2 team members had already raised objections, Xiao Jing'er also simply said that it would be fine for the leader brother to complete the D-level mission alone. Otherwise, 2 leader guards could also go. The sister's words made Zhao Zhu, who was listening on the side, laugh. The team members reached a consensus, and Xiaoming had to obey. The insect king Green Xiaoming had a special shape and was sent to play outside the village. Silver Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming both went to do tasks for the Mingjing team. Only Kraken was kind-hearted and took the initiative to accompany the leader. The other team members went to the village to try their luck and see if they could trigger any special tasks. Only Xiao didn't quite understand, and was taken away by Zhao Zhu in a daze. I just hope Zhao Zhu can teach Xiao more secret techniques of the Dragon Clan. For this, I don't mind doing some boring things. A standard ninja team in Konoha village is 4 people, and the Mingjing team has a total of 6 people, even if there are 2 substitutes. With the endorsement of the space, the agency that assigns tasks in Konoha will not mind the overstaffing. It is not necessary for all members to be present when accepting the task. Yin Xiaoming went there quickly alone and took on 3 D-level tasks on behalf of the Mingjing team. Then the internal division of labor was made again. Since Kraken firmly disagreed to take care of the child, Yin Xiaoming was responsible for the task of taking care of the child. Kraken was assigned to go to the neighboring village to buy things. Being able to leave the village, you can do things that are not bound by the village, which is just right for the reincarnation. Huang Xiaoming took on a task to find a lost puppy. Players of the Magic Planet game have made some progress in the Naruto secret realm, and a lot of information has naturally spread. Now Xiaoming already knows what the first sea-level task of Naruto's team is. In fact, Xiaoming is also very interested in Zabuza and Haku. But now is obviously not that time point. In Xiaoming's scanned map, Naruto is practicing some powerful ninjutsu accompanied by an unknown master. Sasuke is no longer in the village. At this point in time, it is an unknown plot that Xiaoming does not understand. Xiaoming thinks this is his disadvantage. With the power behind the opponent team, they are likely to know this plot. But a D-level team, even if they know the plot, what can they do? Even if one or two masters join temporarily, what can they do? Xiaoming is not worried. And Xiaoming also found a very interesting thing. I remember that the Insect King had absorbed a pair of Sharingan and Byakugan. These two bloodlines are only at an average level in the real world. But in the Naruto world, they seem to be inspired by the chakra between heaven and earth. They have been sublimated. Of course, it may just be an illusion. Maybe it's just because Xiaoming's own strength has increased. In short, the Insect King can now call out the Byakugan and Sharingan at will. And the two pairs of eyes are in good condition. The Sharingan, which has reached the 3 Megatama state, is eager to evolve to the next level. The Byakugan feels like a fish in water. Although there seems to be no next level, the observation of the environment and life forms has become more and more subtle. If Yin Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming want to use these two pairs of eyes, they need to activate the true 3 heads and 6 arms to borrow the Sharingan or the Byakugan temporarily. They are still in the village, and the whole village is almost under the surveillance of the Konoha high-level officials. They dare not do such stupid things. But it doesn't matter for Green Xiaoming outside the village. Sharingan and Byakugan can be switched at will. Because he wants to test the special eyes, the Insect King has not opened the scanning map for the time being, and the mind ability circle is only opened within a radius of 100 meters. Suddenly Xiaoming found that his circle was triggered. But the other party did not feel discovered. This guy looks very strange, half of his face is black and half of his face is white, and there is a big leaf with serrated teeth on both sides on his head. He is wearing a big robe with a black background and red cloud pattern, which really doesn't match him. This world is really poor in clothing choices, and he is not the only one who doesn't wear clothes that match. His life energy is very strange. It seems that he is not one person, and it seems that he is not just two people. Anyway, it is very strange. They, hid in a tree and secretly observed Xiaoming. Xiaoming remained calm and continued to move at high speed. Unexpectedly, just after leaving him behind, he appeared in a plant or underground not far ahead. What a weird guy. Xiaoming was on guard. However, the black and white man gave up after following for a while. Xiaoming wanted to use a circle or scan the map to track him, but this guy's movement was too special. Xiaoming couldn't keep up with him. The world is really full of masters and strong people. Since the black and white man left, Xiaoming didn't care and continued to experiment with the Sharingan and the Byakugan to strive for a breakthrough as soon as possible. However, not long after, two more people wearing the same style of clothes as the black and white man appeared. It turned out that this was some kind of uniform. At this time, Xiaoming had been alert and found these two guys 1 kilometer away. Looking at the direction, it was obviously coming towards him. And not long after, the black and white man sneaked up to his side again. It turned out that this guy was going to get help. This is too outrageous. Xiaoming thought, why don't you fight me first? You may not be able to defeat me. Why did you bring 2 strong reinforcements? Don't you feel embarrassed to fight 3 against 1? However, when the 2 came to the Insect King, they did not really fight 3 against 1. One of the guys who looked ugly and fierce laughed and said to another handsome guy with Sharingan. Ha ha ha, what Zetsu said was true. Sure enough, Another freak with Sherry-nan appeared. "Itaka, it seems that you didn't clean it up thoroughly enough." Although this guy was fierce, he didn't have much hostility towards him. The same was true for the black and white man, who was mainly curious about him. Oh, by the way, according to this guy, the black and white man's name might be Zetsu. This guy named Itaka seemed calm towards Xiaoming on the surface, but in fact he was brewing a strong murderous intention. Xiaoming couldn't help but be more vigilant again. Of course, Xiaoming didn't know that this Uchiha Itachi had killed the entire Sherry-nan family. As far as he knew, there were only 3 people left in the Uchiha family in the Naruto world. In addition to the 2 in the Akatsuki organization, the other one was his younger brother Sasuke. The other one who had Sherry-nan was Danzo and his root organization. This was also the reason why Itachi had murderous intentions towards Xiaoming. Because the Insect King faced them in his true form, Itachi thought Xiaoming was a test product of the root organization. Perhaps Orochimaru was also involved. Itachi knew the importance of the Sherry-nan to Uchiha Madara. This was also the guarantee for his brother Sasuke's survival. So this weirdo in front of him must not be kept alive. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 644. However, Uchiha Itachi couldn't kill Xiaoming directly, at least not too hastily or too obviously. Hoshigaki Kisame and Zetsu were watching here. This person has the Sherry-nan and can be recruited to the Akatsuki organization as a spare tire. If he was killed directly, it might arouse suspicion. These 2 people only need to intervene slightly to save this person. So Uchiha Itachi still looked cool for the time being, not even saying a word, and on the surface, everything was left to Kisame to deal with. Kisame was loyal to the Akatsuki organization, to Uchiha Madara behind him, or to Uchiha Obito who pretended to be Madara. Kisame also respected Itachi, who had been with him all the time. He would not let Xiaoming pass easily. He waved the same hata in his hand, pointed at the Insect King and shouted, "Boy, let me try you first, are you qualified to have these eyes?" Exploding water wave. A large wave of water spit out from Kisame's mouth and attacked Xiaoming at high speed. It was a dark move. This person was straightforward, even skipping the process of giving his full name. If someone was not strong enough, he would not be qualified to give his full name in front of them. However, after the water wave, Xiaoming's figure could not be seen at the scene. Was he washed away? Kisame looked around in confusion. Itachi was also very surprised. He reminded him in time, "Kisame, don't relax, you just killed a shadow clone." With his eyes, he could not find out where Xiaoming was hiding. Not to mention him, Zetsu, who was watching the battle nearby, could not find Xiaoming's trace. Did he escape? Such a strong man should not be so cowardly, right? The 3 members of Akatsuki guessed at the same time. Xiaoming certainly did not run away. He just put on an invisible suit and hid. A-level reincarnations can generally see through the invisible suit. That's because A-level reincarnations are knowledgeable and know what the ability of mind is. Although the members of the Akatsuki organization present have all reached A-level, they are too unfamiliar with the ability of mind. It was difficult to find Xiaoming for a while. But after a while, they should be able to find clues. Xiaoming doesn't want to let them be idle. After the flood receded, hundreds of 3rd-level shadow clones and more than 300 0-2 level puppets immediately appeared on the scene. At the beginning, Xiaoming used this trick to force B-level Illumi and Hisoka away. There were more materials on the ground, which could make thousands of puppets. Unfortunately, most of them were washed away by the water just now. And facing the A-level Kisame, this trick will definitely not work. The ninjutsu of Kisame just now, exploding water wave, is a range type attack ninjutsu. Another one can directly clear the field. Xiaoming used this trick mainly to show his strategic value. Facing the A-level guys, his attack power is seriously insufficient. The Mind Beast Legion, which usually seems very powerful, is not worth mentioning in front of the A-level masters. Even the strongest Transformer Zhonghong and the 13 alien King Kongs are only C-level combat power. They are still not up to the task of facing Kisame. For now, I hope that this ability will be favored by them and they will show mercy. From the perspective of life energy, Xiaoming's impression of him is obviously much better. It is rare for him to see a guy with similar abilities as himself, and they have some sympathy for each other. This ability is indeed very useful for the organization's future plans. Kisame was also obviously moved. He did not directly use his ultimate move to clear the field, but wanted to personally experience the strength of the shadow clones and puppets. Low-level puppets can't block his attack at all. A large area is swept away with one sweep, which is not interesting. It can only be used to disperse the enemy's firepower. But the shadow clone is indeed interesting. Although Xiaoming's shadow clone is only level 3, he knows a lot of things, especially his sharp eyes, which can detect any small movements of Kisame. It is fast, combining the Navy's 6-style shaving and the instant step of the God of Death, and can use the substitute technique from time to time. Although the shadow clone is only the strength of a ninja, it is really not easy to kill one. One by one, they ran too fast. Occasionally, when Kisame caught one, he would immediately self-destruct, and the power would make Kisame, who had strong defense, embarrassed. Mainly because he was not prepared for this move. Unexpectedly, this person, like Delata, also studied the art of explosion. Kisame felt very embarrassed to be embarrassed by a group of shadow clones at the level of Genin. He shouted, "Thousands of sharks!" Nearly 100 sharks appeared out of thin air in the air, carrying a lot of water, and rushed towards each shadow clone. It was said to be 1,000, but it was actually only 100. Even if 1,000 sharks could be summoned, there were not so many targets. Kisame still had an idea in his mind. A few shadow clones were caught off guard and were destroyed one after another, and even the puppets were swept away. Most of them had good eyesight and had time to react, so they self-destruct in time and died together with the sharks. This made Kisame feel a little distressed. "Be careful," attack is suddenly reminded. Kisame was stunned, and felt that there were countless invisible things around him, rushing towards him. He had just used half of his ultimate move, and was a little caught off guard, so he had to swing Same Hata in a circle, driving away many attackers. However, it was not able to cover all directions after all. Pot, pot, pot. Kisame felt as if a lot of mud was stuck to him. If it was mud, it would be fine, but if it was some kind of excrement, Kisame swore that if that was the case, he would kill this kid no matter what. However, what stuck to him was just Xiaoming's telekinesis stretchable love and hate, which was shot at high speed from a distance. For nothing else, just for a close-up explosion. In a blink of an eye, all the telekinetic chewing gums exploded collectively. Kisame's body was blown to pieces. Fortunately, his body was strong enough, and the injuries were only superficial. This invisible attack is indeed interesting. Several masters praised Xiaoming's attack. In an instant, Kisame suddenly felt his hair stand on end. Dangerous. A powerful force has reached him. If he is hit hard, he will be seriously injured if not dead. At this moment, there is no time to seal and use ninjutsu. Kisame took advantage of the opponent's power and fled outward. Boom, there was a loud bang. Kisame's body flew far away, and a big pit was blown out of the ground. The original water and sharks were blown away. It is estimated that none of them will survive. Big Ball Raise Non, Uchiha Attack is said the name of this move with a serious face. At the bottom of the big pit, Xiaoming's figure appeared. This move, which he had just learned, was not very smooth to use. This was a move that Xiaoming learned from the protagonist, Uzumaki Naruto, who was training in Konoha village. Although it is difficult to control the Raise Non, that is for Naruto. Xiaoming has a level 6 mental power, so it is easy for him to learn the Raise Non. His own chakra is endless. Xiaoming's triple source energy is much higher than that of the Nine Tails. So Xiaoming accidentally made the first Raise Non a little too big. It is comparable to the Big Ball Raise Non. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 645. After this explosion, Xiaoming finally understood. It turns out that his real strength is defense. The blown Kisame is still in shock. Xiaoming injected too much chakra into the Raise Non. Because of his quick dodge and strong recovery, Kisame's injuries can only be considered moderate. However, facing the explosive power of the Raise Non, Xiaoming's mental shield actually withstood it. If the attack is concentrated on one point, the mental shield may not be so effective. But the explosion, a range attack, can be completely blocked by the shield. Xiaoming was afraid that Kisame would dodge this attack, and for some ulterior motives, he personally acted as a courier. Using the elasticity of 7 pieces of chewing gum to compress and explode to accelerate himself, he instantly sent the Raise Non to Kisame's face. As a result, he was also affected by the power. This move really killed 10,000 enemies and injured 3,000 of himself. Next time, I should learn from my lesson and throw the Raise Non to hit people, or use the shadow clone to deliver this courier. Forget about the main body. This time in the world of reincarnation, I really gained a lot. Ninjutsu, which is a self-contained ability from low to high, is very suitable for Xiaoming. In the past, Xiaoming only entered the secret realm of Naruto. After all, the secret realm is a game, and there are not so many ninjas practicing ninjutsu there for players to peek and learn. Everything in the game can only happen under certain conditions. It is not as easy to steal skills as in the world of reincarnation. In the world of Naruto, every ninja must practice ninjutsu hard every day. The scanning maps and circles of Silver Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming almost cover the entire Konoha village. There are many people practicing ninjutsu and even teaching at all times. So Xiaoming has learned a lot in these few days. The most powerful one is the Raise Non that Naruto is practicing. It is not easy to encounter the scene of a senior ninja practicing a special skill. Of course, Naruto seems to be improving his combat effectiveness by changing the nature of chakra. There are also 2 senior ninja teachers teaching him. Among them, Xiaoming only knows Kakashi. The other one is called Yamato, and Xiaoming observed for more than a day before knowing his name. You should know that Xiaoming had met most of the high-level officials of Konoha village in the secret realm of Naruto, and almost knew all the Jonin. He didn't know this Yamato. This person is really hiding deep. After learning about the change of chakra nature, Xiaoming immediately used several chakra test papers to test it. The result is of course the same as the ability of Nin. Xiaoming's chakra nature change is also full. Fire, wind, thunder, earth, water, the 5 major attributes are all changed. In this way, the raw materials for the blood limit are complete. In fact, Xiaoming can even change the chakra of yin and yang attributes. It's just that I haven't heard of this knowledge for the time being, and I can't comprehend it yet. The most important thing is that Xiaoming quietly collected a lot of blood from the major families of Konoha. Of course, it's not collected by killing the other party's personnel. There is no need at all. It's too common for ninjas to get injured. Even in training, they are often injured. Naturally, blood, skin, muscle and other human tissues will fall off. Xiaoming can sneak away a lot of blood and muscle tissue. After the accumulation of a little bit, they were all absorbed by the insect king, and gradually accumulated a variety of bloodline limits, the prototype. Among them, almost no one can use it freely. The families with bloodline limits are still more cautious when practicing. Xiaoming can peek at very few, and most of them are not from the beginning, Xiaoming can't understand. If you want to learn, the best way is to catch a few people and ask them. However, Xiaoming is not proficient in basic ninjutsu and illusion for the time being, so there is no need to be ambitious. And Xiaoming has an advantage. He can obtain part of the other party's memory by sucking blood. The memory of hundreds of ninjas is pieced together, and the amount of knowledge makes Xiaoming more and more familiar with all aspects of ninjutsu. Of course, during practice, the most vulnerable are generally the genin and chinin, and the amount of blood collected by the jonin is obviously less. Not to mention the few cage-level ninjas. Xiaoming can only watch and drool. So this time, Xiaoming personally launched such a strong attack on Kisame, on the one hand, to test the attack power of the Raise Nan. On the other hand, it was also to collect more blood from Kisame. It's true that this time, Kisame was not paying attention and was seriously injured. A lot of his body tissues were collected. Of course, most of it must be left on the ground outside for these A-level ninjas to see. To cover up his little movements. When Xiaoming was savoring Kisame's memory, the surrounding environment changed completely in an instant. He seemed to be tied to a cross, and his five senses seemed to have lost their function. Where is this? Xiaoming looked around in confusion. Don't look, this is my spiritual world, the world of Tsukuyomi. If you don't want to die, answer my questions honestly. Uchiha Itake's cold voice came over, and Xiaoming found that there were countless Uchiha Itakas standing beside him. What do you want to ask? Tell me who you are first. Where are you from? Why do you have the Sharingan? Epsilon equals Omicron asterisk, alas, Xiaoming sighed and said. You ask such a question right at the beginning. I can't make up a decent story for the time being. Forget it, let me ask you. As he spoke, the spiritual space reversed. Uchiha Itake was tied to the cross instead. There was only one Xiaoming around. If they were fighting in the material world, Xiaoming, who even Kisame had a hard time dealing with, would not be Uchiha Itake's opponent at all. However, in order to root out the problem in the shortest possible time, Itake used his moon reading ability to pull Xiaoming's spirit into his own spiritual world. In the spiritual world, the only thing that matters is the strength of the spirit, and the ability of ninjutsu is not important. Xiaoming immediately turned things around. Although Itake's spirit is strong, it is far from the level of level 6. Uchiha Itake is also a calm person. Although he seems to be at a disadvantage, he thinks it is easier to get real information this way, and he did not run away immediately. So the two of them can finally chat calmly for a while. In the moon reading world, communication is very smooth. And Xiaoming can also judge whether Uchiha Itake is lying by observing his spirit. This is impossible in the outside world. After a series of exchanges from shallow to deep, Xiaoming roughly figured out that Uchiha Itake was a spy sent by Konoha to the Akatsuki organization. Uchiha Itake can also understand that Xiaoming is probably a person who stands in the camp of justice. And he is not very cunning. Such a person can be used. So Uchiha Itake told Xiaoming a lot of secrets and the abilities of many members of the Akatsuki organization. It's a pity that he doesn't know much. He also asks Xiaoming to take care of his brother Uchiha Sasuke if he has time. It turns out that this guy is a brother control. As a reward, Uchiha Itake told Xiaoming many uses of the Sharingan. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 646. Uchiha Itake was very cunning. He only talked about the Mangekyo Sharingan and the Susanoo ability. But he never mentioned the eternal Mangekyo, nor did he explain that using the Mangekyo too much would cause loss of vision and damage health. Itake was also worried that if the Insect King got greedy, it might endanger Sasuke. Because he wanted to get the eternal Mangekyo that would not damage his own vision and had stronger pupil power. Not only did he need to upgrade his Sharingan to the Mangekyo level, but he also needed to transplant another pair of Mangekyo Sharingan. Although it was said that only direct blood relatives could use it, the benefits were blinding. Who knows if this weirdo will steal his brother's eyes in the future? He taught Xiaoming so much because he hoped that Xiaoming would use the Mangekyo Sharingan more, and even use Susanoo more. In that case, it wouldn't take long for Xiaoming's vision to be ruined, and he would no longer be a threat to Sasuke. For his brother, even though he knew that Xiaoming was probably a good person, Itachi would rather deceive and sacrifice Xiaoming. As a die-hard brother control, he was willing to become a spy. There were so many good people who sacrificed along the way. Xiaoming was not the first, nor would he be the last. Xiaoming was temporarily in a state of being sold and counting money for others. Later, of course, he learned the truth and just laughed it off. The reason was that Xiaoming's source energy could completely make up for the damage to the human body caused by the Mangekyo. If he hadn't heard the news, he wouldn't have noticed it himself. Since he had received the benefit, Xiaoming generously expressed his willingness to take care of Sasuke, and at the same time closed the moon reading world. Xiaoming and Itachi returned to the Naruto world, and only a moment had passed outside. Itachi collapsed to the ground immediately after coming out because of too much mental energy consumption. This was the first time Kisame had seen such a situation. Uchiha Itachi actually lost in an eye-to-eye fight with others. Usually, the enemy should fall to the ground. He hurriedly supported his companion. He only heard Itachi whisper in his ear, "Danger! Go quickly!" Kisame always obeyed Itachi's words and immediately carried him away at a high speed. Xiaoming did not pursue him either. Zetsu, who was watching the excitement on the side, was a little confused. He thought he was a bronze, but who knew he was a king? Itachi should have used Tsukuyomi on this weirdo just now. That was considered the strongest mental attack by Black Zetsu. It was actually cracked by this person. Instead, Itachi was hurt. Who the hell is this guy? It is not suitable to stay here for long. Zetsu thought that he still had an important mission, so he did not dare to take risks and turned around and ran away. In the blink of an eye, only the Insect King was left alone in the originally hot battlefield, and there was a mess on the ground. Xiaoming stood there motionless. If you look closely, you will find that his pair of Sharingan have strange patterns. They were promoted to Mangekyo Sharingan together. Xiaoming's Mangekyo Sharingan has the same ability, which has carried forward one of his main characteristics. That is imitation, or copying. Xiaoming's creativity and intelligence are average, and his abilities mostly come from imitating and extending the abilities of others. The triple source energy gives Xiaoming the convenience to do so. Without source energy, how can he imitate someone's ability so easily? Xiaoming's Mangekyo Sharingan can naturally copy the abilities of other people's Mangekyo Sharingan. As long as you see the other person's eyes and see the other person's ability, there is a chance to copy it. The more you feel, the greater the chance of successful copying. This is an extremely powerful pupil power. Although there are not many people in the Naruto world who have Mangekyo Sharingan, it seems that the ability that can be copied is also limited. But there are still a large number of reincarnations. There should be some strong people who have evolved to Mangekyo Sharingan among them. In addition, Xiaoming plans to equip a large number of Sharinans to the newly bred insect humans. There must be some that can be outstanding, right? This ability is definitely promising. Now Xiaoming has copied Uchiha Itachi's Tsukuyomi. Who asked Itachi to pull Xiaoming into his own Tsukuyomi world? After staying in it for so long, and it is an ability based on mental power, Xiaoming copied it unknowingly. He can use it to bully people in the future. After this battle, Xiaoming has to be extra careful and alert. This world is really full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. This time, he almost flipped over. Xiaoming quickly found a very large and complex cave system and hid in it. In this kind of terrain, Xiaoming can give full play to the power of alchemy and be safer. Let the shadow clones do the work of exploring the world. Dozens of shadow clones walked out of the cave and rushed in all directions. Xiaoming hid in the depths of the cave, using alchemy to modify the terrain and set traps. He was thinking about the gains and losses of this battle. First, because he was watched by several masters, he did not use every second counts. If he accelerated himself when using the Raise Non, he should have a chance to defeat the shark head. However, the opponent's defense is very high, and it is impossible to kill him. Defeating him will inevitably attract Zetsu or Uchiha Itachi to take action, and I really don't know what will happen. Second, in terms of alchemy, Hoshigaki Kisame's ninjutsu and taijutsu have strong attack power, so even if he uses alchemy to build one or two walls, it will probably be useless. Moreover, the opponent's speed is not low, and Xiaoming does not have time to use alchemy. Now that I think about it, I should learn to make some new materials in alchemy. Earth walls and stone walls cannot block it, but thick alloy walls should be able to block one or two, right? It is not so passive in the early stage. Third, there is a problem with the fighting method. Xiaoming has not yet developed a truly formed fighting mode. He always relies on numbers to win. Xiaoming's character in the Hunter Secret Realm is Mutio Yu, who became the apprentice of Netero, the president of the Hunter Association. In fact, he learned a full set of telekinetic combat methods. Xiaoming's physical fitness is much better than Mutio Yu. He can better play the role of telekinesis. However, because Xiaoming was too cowardly and did not dare to fight in person, the strongest melee strengthening telekinesis did not work. And Xiaoming did not develop a telekinesis ability that is truly suitable for combat. He has always relied on telekinesis beasts, clones, and stretchable love and hate to deal with everything. He did not carefully consider what to do when he met a real master. This time, he immediately suffered a loss when facing the A-level Kisame. It was the explosion of the Raise Non at the end that made Xiaoming suddenly enlightened. The power that could injure the A-level Kisame was blocked by the mental shield. His own defense is too strong. You have to know that Xiaoming hadn't used the enhanced telekinesis at that time. Under the mental shield, there was the protection of the insect cloth, under the insect cloth, there was the love protection from Meng Meng, and finally, there was his own physical fitness. If it were Yin Xiaoming, although he didn't have the insect cloth, he still had the bee and mithril soft armor from the Lord of the Rings world. Damn, why am I so wretched? This defense is enough to fight hard. It should be the sequelae of being scared to death by Sun Wukong. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 647. The Insect King can actually use sorcery and Taoism. It's just that he doesn't use them often, so his hands are a little unfamiliar. Recently, I've been hanging out in the martial arts planet for too long, where you can't use supernatural energy, which seriously affects Xiaoming's current performance. In addition, there are the Navy 6 styles, the fighting style of the God of Death, and the fighting style of the Saint Seiya. If you practice them well, you can deal with Kisame. But Xiaoming can't use any of them. I often practice them, but every time I fight, Xiaoming automatically becomes wretched. Alas, otaku losers are so speechless. Don't think he has awakened now. If he wants to have qualified combat qualities, Xiaoming is still far away. In fact, there are many coincidences in the battle between Green Xiaoming and Hoshigaki Kisame. There is no real winner. Kisame is just a little behind, and that little injury is nothing. Xiaoming's own fighting power is certainly not formed, but Kisame didn't fight seriously either. They just wanted to test Xiaoming's fighting power. If it's satisfactory, consider pulling him into the Akatsuki organization. Therefore, Kisame didn't use his full strength at all. Otherwise, this human-shaped tailed beast would not be so easy to deal with. In terms of hard power, Xiaoming should be said to have the advantage. His energy is almost infinite. But in terms of real combat ability, Xiaoming is a million miles away from masters like Kisame. If they really fight, in the end, no one will be able to do anything to anyone. Xiaoming is a bit like a turtle now. Even A-level masters can hardly break his shell. It doesn't pose a real threat to him. But Xiaoming can't do anything to the opponent. Even some B-level masters, as long as they are smart enough, don't have to be too afraid of Xiaoming. Then Xiaoming thought of the fourth key point: the fighting power of the shadow clone was not fully utilized. If you face an opponent with a wide range of attack skills, you are basically a dead end. This time, the battle with Kisame is a very obvious example. I don't blame others, I just blame myself for being too idle. I have never studied a truly powerful attack method. Although self-destruction is good, you can't use yourself to self-destruct, right? And the damage of the clone's self-destruction is obviously not very good for a master. Fortunately, this time I came to the Naruto world, which allowed Xiaoming to understand the comprehensiveness and power of the ninja combat system. This opportunity is rare. If I study ninjutsu carefully, the combat power of the shadow clone will not be so weak. The secret realm of the game has always been there. Xiaoming used to have plenty of time to go in and study hard, but he only cared about playing. Even if he worked hard to practice in the hunter's secret realm, Xiaoming's goal was still to play. In fact, Xiaoming's shadow clone has a physical fitness of about level 3, which is a data that some Jonin can't achieve. If these shadow clones are used properly, they can fully exert the combat power of C-level Chunin, or even the attack power of B-level Jonin. But in Xiaoming's hands, the shadow clones only have the strength of Genin, and he completely used them up. The clones are first class at escaping one by one. The ninjas in the Naruto world generally have high attack and high speed, but low defense and low life. The combat of ninjutsu and the use of chakra are actually a serious harm to the life of ninjas. The ninjas exchanged powerful attack and combat power at the cost of shortening their life. Considering that the average lifespan of ninjas is very low, many ninjas even died before adulthood, so they don't care about the small matter of shortening their life. Even the reincarnations who use ninjutsu need to be cautious about this. Of course, the reincarnations are different from the native ninjas, and they can go to other worlds to find ways to repair their lifespans. Xiaoming doesn't need to worry about shortening his life. The source energy will automatically repair his own lifespan. It's too hateful to tell others about this, so just know it yourself. Stimulated by the battle with Kisame and Uchiha Itachi, Xiaoming did practice hard, for several days. There was no way, this kid was just muddling along. It was impossible to work hard all the time. After a few days, Xiaoming felt that his defense was strong enough and it was difficult to be killed. He didn't need to work too hard to improve his attack. He could take his time. Main Mission 2 required Mingjing's team to complete a B-level mission and a C-level mission. The C-level mission was to clear out the bandits. The team members thought it was interesting and went to play together. The bandits who didn't even know ninjutsu couldn't stand this group of strong men and were pressed to the ground and rubbed to death. The B-level mission was to go to the Konoha medical department and treat a sufficient number of patients. This mission was naturally more suitable for Xiaoming. Not only could he use his abilities, but he could also learn some medical ninjutsu. You should know that the current 5th generation Hokage Tsunade is a cage-level master who excels in medical ability. Under her leadership, the level of Konoha medical department must be very high. Xiaoming is interested in medical care and has talent. In just a few days, he learned the healing and hemostasis techniques. Then Xiaoming participated in an operation of Tsunade as an assistant and learned the palm technique. Xiaoming did not hide it and showed it openly. He quickly completed the B-level task in excess with these medical ninjutsu. As a reward, Tsunade taught Xiaoming the ninjutsu of Chakra's scalpel. Unfortunately, Konoha village was too peaceful, and Tsunade never had the opportunity to show her super strength, Tianshao kick and other super combat power. Xiaoming missed a good thing. Space Prompt, Main Mission 3, Confrontation Mission. Konoha village will successively send out the ninja teams 10 and 7 to deal with Haiden and Kakozu of the Akatsuki organization. The mission of Mingjing team is to ensure that Haiden and Kakozu are sealed or eliminated by Konoha. The mission of the opponent team is to rescue these two people from Konoha. Haha, Xiaoming was completely speechless when he saw this mission. It can't be such a coincidence, right? Within 3 minutes, the space announced, Haiden and Kakozu have been eliminated by Konoha. Congratulations to Mingjing team for winning this confrontation mission. At the same time, the enemies of Mingjing team were expelled from this world by the space because of their defeat. WTF. TNND. I'm a bitch. The members of the opponent team who suddenly returned to the settlement space burst into swear words. No way. Too bullying. What's going on? Why did the mission fail at the beginning? The reincarnation space is too childish to do this. It doesn't fit its style. It won? The members of Mingjing's team were also surprised. We didn't leave the village. But they all knew who should be held responsible for this kind of thing. They all turned their heads to look at the leader. Xiaoming scratched his head and said, those two people just happened to meet the left guard and have been killed. Oh, everyone responded lightly and ignored the captain. Each of them quickly used the task card and stayed for a while. Konoha Ninja Village is really interesting. It would be a loss if you don't exchange rewards in the village. Xiaoming had already charged the spiritual power of the trapped dragon wristband and planned to live in this world for some time. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 648. Time goes back to 2 days ago. In a mysterious underground cave, two figures are talking. That guy was defeated by Itaka. Are you sure they can do it? Kisame has always wanted to take revenge. It's hard to judge that guy's strength. His hiding ability is no less than mine. I don't know who to send. Only the immortal duo is suitable. That's right. I hope they can really live. They are both very useful tools. Don't worry, even if they are not opponents, they should not die. I will send someone to follow. After a silence, the two figures disappeared. In another very hidden forest, Feijuan twisted his stiff neck, stretched his body and said, I've been stiff for 7 days, and my body is almost moldy. Kakozu, do you believe the leader's words? You said about ruling the world? I don't care, as long as I can make money. I don't care about that. I'm asking about the guy who defeated Itaka. Although I don't want to admit it, Itaka is really too powerful. Was he really defeated? Even if he wasn't defeated, he should be very embarrassed. I found that Itaka was indeed a little weak. He was embarrassed this time. Yes, as long as I kill the guy who defeated Itaka, I can meet him face to face in the future. Hey, why are you leaving? Listen carefully. But Kakozu didn't bother to pay attention to Feijuan's flattery, and he raised his leg and left. Feijuan quickly followed, still mumbling in his mouth. Before finding out the details of the Insect King, Black Zetsu didn't plan to appear in front of Xiaoming. But White Zetsu has plenty, and is good at the mayfly technique that moves quickly on the ground. Soon, they found the Insect King hiding in the underground cave and the shadow clones strolling around outside. With him directing the direction, the immortal duo took more than a day to arrive at the entrance of the cave where Xiaoming was hiding. Feijuan and Keiku were fearless. Facing this kind of terrain, they rushed in without hesitation and never came out again. Since Xiaoming has strong mental power and alchemy, this huge and complex cave terrain is almost Xiaoming's home court. This is different from encountering enemies on the surface. It takes time for Xiaoming to activate alchemy on the ground, and everything he makes must rise from the surface or sink. This not only consumes a lot of mental power, but also takes time. It is natural to crush low-level enemies. It is not good to encounter A-level and B-level masters. Their reactions are generally fast enough, and alchemy seems a bit useless. But in the cave terrain, activating alchemy means to accumulate enemies from all directions, rather than just rising from the surface. No matter how fast the enemy reacts, it is useless. If there is no suitable targeted means, even A-level masters may be exhausted to death because they cannot escape. If a war of attrition is carried out, even the Uzumaki clan is several levels behind Xiaoming. What is a suitable targeted means? Zetsu's floating technique is definitely one. Xiaoming has not yet made materials that can block Zetsu, so he can only use high-density materials to slow down Zetsu's movement speed. Kisame's underground submarine can also allow him to escape quickly. Xiaoming's alchemy speed cannot keep up with him. A-level ninjas can change the terrain to a certain extent, but only this kind of faster ninjutsu can resist Xiaoming's alchemy in the cave. Of course, S-level enemies are still undefeated, and they can directly break through violently and blast a way out with one punch. In addition, Tsunade's strange strength and Kai's 8 gates of ninjutsu can also blast a way out, although they are not yet S-level. Speaking of A-level masters, the ratio of being trapped and being able to escape is about 50:50. Unfortunately, Feijuan and Kakuzu are both the type that can't escape. Xiaoming first sent a few shadow clones to block, lure, them, and also wanted to test his skills. It turned out that ordinary ninjutsu attacks could not kill the duo at all, and all fire and lightning ninjutsu did not have enough lethality. Only the Raise-Non was a bit threatening, but that was all. Kakuzu could just use ninjutsu to detonate the Raise-Non from a distance. Feijuan was more interesting. He could easily pick up a stone from the cave and throw it out to block the Raise-Non. At this time, the cave terrain was still their help. Not to mention providing stones to Feijuan, many shadow clones could not rush in. The battle was basically one-sided. Every time Feijuan met Xiaoming's shadow clone, he would speak nonsense and taunt Xiaoming fiercely, hoping to provoke Xiaoming. Only the shadow clones came, so he couldn't get Xiaoming's blood, and couldn't use the curse technique of death by blood to kill Xiaoming. Xiaoming is so mean that he would definitely not face the immortal duo in his home field. He still used the shadow clones to harass and taunt Feijuan, in order to defeat them one by one. Xiaoming never quarreled with people on the internet, and his cursing skills were not good. However, Feijuan also had a bad temper. He fell into the trap after a few curses, and was attracted away from Kakuzu by the shadow clone. Then Xiaoming used alchemy to imprison the two people with layers of rocks. Among them, Feijuan had no ability to resist at all. He was pierced, cut, and chopped by countless iron weapons, but he was not dead. This made Xiaoming very interested. He almost went over to suck him dry. As a result, he heard Feijuan shouting that his immortality and curse ability were actually gifts from the evil god. Xiaoming immediately lost interest. There was no benefit in absorbing this thing into his body. It might even attract the evil god. Xiaoming thought he was no match for him. So he burned all of Feijuan's body tissues with flames. Only a chattering head was left, and the sword of judgment was inserted into it. Then it was sealed with several layers of barrier techniques and thrown into Guangmingding. If this head is really immortal, then let him suffer endless pain of being killed. Feijuan, a guy who only knows bloody killing, is the kind of person Xiaoming hates the most. It can be said that he hates him deeply. In Xiaoming's heart, there are actually many kinds of villains, and most villains kill people to achieve a certain purpose. Although Xiaoming hates these villains, he does not hate them to such a deep degree. Every time he sees this kind of bloodthirsty devil, Xiaoming thinks of the foot basin devils he saw in Far Island's Strange Man. These people are not even as good as animals in Xiaoming's eyes. As long as conditions permit, Xiaoming will be very cruel to them. Not only the foot basin devils are treated this way, but also any troops that commit large-scale massacres of innocent civilians. No matter which country they are from, even if they are Chinese, Xiaoming will not let them go and treat them equally. Of course, this is just Xiaoming's idea for now. He has not encountered such a world so far. He can only use Feiduan to satisfy his desire. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 649. Why put Feijuan's head on Guangmingding? It's a waste recycling. The head of an immortal has great research value for many forces. It should be worth a lot of money, right? Another reason is that the natives of the Naruto world are too powerful. Zetsu can roam freely in the land, Xiaoming has seen it. If Feijuan's head is left here, it may be found and dug out by Zetsu at any time. It should not be difficult for them to make another body for Feijuan. Xiaoming can do this kind of thing himself. Therefore, Xiaoming simply cuts the grass and takes Feijuan's head away from this world. In Xiaoming's opinion, Feijuan's combat power is not strong, and the gap with Uchiha Itachi and Kisame is too big. It's just that this immortal body and curse ability are too foul, and many ninjas find it difficult to deal with it. Especially when Kakuzu is by his side and assists him. It is basically difficult for anyone to kill him. But the evil will be punished by the evil. This time he met Xiaoming, who completely restrained him, and ran into Xiaoming's home turf. If he hadn't met Xiaoming, Feiduan's real end would have been even more embarrassing. According to the original work, he and Kakuzu would have been dealt with by the 7th and 10th teams of Konoha Ninja. That is, the confrontation task of Mingjing team. Kakuzu fought a battle majestically. In the end, he was killed by the protagonist, which was not shameful. Feiduan was suppressed by Ichinin throughout the whole process. Although Feiduan was stronger in combat power, he could not stop Shikamaru's high IQ from crushing him. A cage-level ninja was played to death by Ichinin from beginning to end. It should be said that he was not completely dead. It was just that his body was blown to pieces and his head was buried. It was really too embarrassing. So much so that the Akatsuki organization didn't spend any energy to find him later, and gave up on him directly. Otherwise, if he dug out his head and gave him a body of white Zetsu, Feiduan could still do his best. Now that he can die in Xiaoming's hands, Feiduan is much more face-saving than in the original work. Compared with Haiden, who was crushed by Xiaoming, Kakuzu still had a certain resistance under Xiaoming's 18 hells. After all, he was a ninja with all 5 chakras. When he was trapped by Xiaoming, he didn't care at the time. He used Earth Escape to open a way inside, and was still thinking about completing the task, finding Xiaoming to kill or surrender. However, after a while, he found something wrong. If the cave was closed by Earth Escape ninjutsu, he could easily break it. In front of him, there was an endless pile of mud and rocks, which made it difficult for him to deal with. The most annoying thing was that Xiaoming also set a small fire inside. The damage to Kakuzu was not great, but it almost consumed the oxygen. Kakuzu didn't have an immortal body like Haiden. He had 5 hearts, and his demand for oxygen was even greater. In the blink of an eye, he felt suffocated. Although the Naruto world clicked the wrong technology tree, it still studied nature very well. Kakuzu could replenish oxygen for himself. As long as he used water escape to get some water, and then used lightning escape to electrolyze water, he could still produce oxygen. As for the danger of hydrogen-oxygen mixed gas explosion, he could not care about it now. However, Xiaoming did not even give him this time. Alchemy created hundreds of flying swords, and Xiaoming used the 10,000 swords technique remotely to attack him from all directions. This move was not worthy of the flying stage. Kakozu's physical strength could not withstand the 10,000 swords technique with spiritual power, and there was nowhere to hide in the cave. Relying on the earth's resentment, he resisted tenaciously like a hedgehog for a long time, and finally used up all his chakra. The next second, he was pierced with holes all over his body by flying swords like a tide, and he was dying. Although he did not lose all 5 lives on the spot, he had no power to resist. So the Insect King used the straw on his tail to suck Kakozu's flesh and blood clean. Kakozu is one of the longest-lived ninjas in the Naruto world. Ninjutsu is not particularly strong, but his experience is really rich. After sucking his blood dry, Xiaoming received a lot of knowledge about the ninja world and ninjutsu, including many secrets. The amount of blood is large enough, so Xiaoming naturally extracted a lot of memories from it. In addition, the Insect King also obtained Kakozu's 2 major secrets, Earth Grudge and Heart Seizure. Earth Grudge used chakra to control the black tentacles in the body, which can be turned into a ninjutsu suitable for medium and long-range attacks. Using black tentacles, you can also suture the body. The length and shape of the Earth Grudge tentacles can be changed at will, so that it can cope with almost all situations. Kakozu who launched the Earth Grudge has no dead angle at all. This is why Kakozu lasted for so long under Xiaoming's all-round attack of the 10,000 swords. Heart Seizure, this is a secret technique developed by Kakozu based on the Earth Grudge. Use black tentacles to seize other people's hearts and attract them into your body along with the chakra properties. Because Kakozu always keeps a heart with 5 chakra properties. This allows Kakozu to use the 5 basic ninjutsu. Combining the heart and the black tentacles, he can also create 4 different masked monsters to fight with him. It is equivalent to 5 powerful ninjas fighting together. Not only do they have the 5 basic chakras, but they are also connected. They can exert extremely powerful combat power. Kakozu can be said to be a very comprehensive ninja, and he is also equivalent to an army. The only drawback is that he does not have a very powerful big move that can make the final decision. If it weren't for this unique terrain, Xiaoming would have no way to deal with him. But now he can eat him up and receive all his inheritance. Kakozu died unjustly. In addition to experience and ninjutsu, he also has a lot of money. The large bounty he received this time has not been handed over to the organization, and it all went to Xiaoming. It's a bit of a waste to give Xiaoming the Earth Grudge. Xiaoming himself has all kinds of chakra, so he doesn't need to take other people's hearts. As for the issue of prolonging life, Xiaoming has source energy, and he doesn't need other people's hearts. Make a few mask monsters to help, ugly rejection. Xiaoming has a lot of clones and mind beasts, which are much more useful and beautiful than mask monsters. As a result, the Earth Grudge is most useful to Xiaoming in medical treatment. Use black tentacles to suture patients' wounds and even connect broken bodies. Its effect is somewhat similar to Maki of the Phantom Troop. And if Xiaoming is a little naughty, he can add some limbs to others. What 3 heads and 6 arms, or beastmen, can all be made. Of course, in this matter, Xiaoming is just showing off his otaku nature and thinking about it. He will definitely not abuse it. As for heart capture, this is a very useful secret technique for medicine. It is used in organ transplant surgery and is absolutely effective. Not only can the heart be transplanted, but any organ can be transplanted. Kakozu is completely on the wrong track. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 650. There are deep-seated reasons why Kakozu chose to be a traitor. He was originally an elite ninja of Takigakuer, and he risked his life for the village's mission, but was ruthlessly betrayed by the village's top leaders. So he killed people and defected with strong hatred, and stole the most precious secret technique in the village, Earth Grudge. After that, he became a traitor that everyone wanted to kill. With such an experience, it is really unlikely that he would take the right path. If Kakuzu chose to be a doctor, he would definitely make a lot of money by using the Earth Grudge. He would also become a VIP of major ninja villages and even daimyos from various countries. Kakuzu can extend people's lives. Just imagine which of those daimyos would not want to live a few more years. By then, even Takigakuer would have to cancel the hunting order, and he would not have ended up like this today. After browsing Kakuzu's experience, Xiaoming sighed. Although it is not wrong to kill him, such people really exist in every world. Fighting for the motherland in the war, but not getting the honor and reward they deserved after the war. Being regarded as a pawn by high-level politicians and sacrificed at will. Being forced to take the road of breaking the law and committing crimes. Such things are everywhere in ancient and modern times, both at home and abroad, and even in the world. This is also the reason why Xiaoming has not really helped Konoha village so far. In the worlds of Lord of the Rings and Zombie 2, the camps of justice and evil can be easily distinguished, and Xiaoming also knows which side to help. But in the world of Naruto, it is really not easy for Xiaoming to distinguish between good and evil. Everyone is just for their own village. At this time, Xiaoming has not seen Nagato, Obito, and others, and he will probably be even more confused after seeing them. With the credit of wiping out 2 members of the Akatsuki organization, the Mingjing team exchanged good rewards in Konoha village. My sister and Wenji don't have a decent combat system yet. It's rare to encounter a world like Naruto with a relatively complete combat system, so naturally you need a good foundation. Zhongwen had actually been planted with the super energy seed of Chakra by Xiaoming. He got the Sharingan with 3 Megatama, so he naturally had to go the ninja route. Xiao Jing'er had to master the fighting style of the God of Death. The two of them had much more serious things to do than Xiaoming. In the secret realm, they practiced repeatedly in the secret realms of Naruto and the God of Death, and were quite hard-working. They also died in the secret realm many times. So before entering this reincarnation mission, they had laid a certain foundation. Of course, they had only practiced for half a month, so the foundation was naturally weak. This mission world is an opportunity to improve. Brother Wen is not yet at the level of practicing Sharingan, but he is just stepping up to master low-level and intermediate ninjutsu in the village. His future route will be a fighting style based on ninjutsu and supplemented by telekinesis. Xiao Jing'er already has spiritual power and telekinesis, and does not want to add another supernatural energy. Xiaoming can reconcile multiple supernatural energies, and even form a large network to convert them into each other. My sister doesn't have this ability. If there are too many types of supernatural energy in her body, there will definitely be conflicts, which will seriously affect her development. So she didn't learn ninjutsu in Konoha village, and mainly practiced physical skills. Neither she nor Zhongwen exchanged merits for powerful ninjutsu, but exchanged a lot of practice time with the guidance of senior ninjas. A very wise choice. As for what Kraken and Zhao Zhuzhu exchanged, Xiaoming is not very clear. They have completed their missions and left this world. When Zhao Zhuzhu left, he actually abducted Xiao Xiao'er along the way. In theory, Xiaoming, as the person who really killed the immortal duo, should have received a higher share of the reward. However, Xiaoming's identity is a VIP, not a reincarnation. He is equivalent to a native of the Naruto world. So Xiaoming is only in Konoha village, and he only got the evaluation of completing one S-level mission. Of course, there are still many goodwills from related ninjas. And when this reincarnation world ends, if Xiaoming still does not get the corresponding benefits, this evaluation and these goodwills will be useless. Because this world will come to an end after the reincarnation leaves. Even if he encounters the Naruto world again next time, it will be a new world. In order not to waste, Xiaoming went to the 5th generation Hokage Tsunade to ask if he could exchange some advanced ninjutsu with the village. Xiaoming avenged Asuma Sarutobi and was quite famous in Konoha village, and Tsunade was willing to help. However, many of the ninjutsu that Konoha village could give as rewards, Xiaoming already knew. Some were completely unnecessary. They discussed for a long time, and finally Xiaoming chose to learn a lot of basic knowledge of sealing techniques. Xiaoming combined the principles of sealing techniques in the ninja world with the barrier techniques he had already learned. He greatly increased the power of his barrier. The Naruto world is a huge treasure. Xiaoming was not satisfied with only learning sealing techniques. He continued to stay in the Naruto world, and on the surface, he conscientiously completed the tasks in the village. But secretly, he was secretly learning various ninjutsu and stealing various blood limit. It was not just Yin Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming who did this in Konoha village. Green Xiaoming also sent out a large number of shadow clones to search the world for valuable things. However, before the good stuff was found, one of Xiaoming's shadow clones was found by Pain, the leader of the Akatsuki organization. You are really persistent. Another one came just 2 days later. If you want to fight, please go find the real body, okay? I am just a shadow clone. Xiaoming's shadow clone looked at the 6 people in Akatsuki uniforms in front of him and was speechless. Why is this not over yet? Pain, who came to see Xiaoming, was also helpless. Akatsuki's attitude towards the Bug King has actually changed dramatically. In the past, they wanted to recruit the Bug King, and if they couldn't recruit him, they could kill him. Now they don't want to recruit him at all, and they don't have the ability to kill him, so they have to ask for peace. Green Xiaoming is now hiding underground and will never come out again. White Zetsu saw most of the scene of him defeating the immortal duo. Although White Zetsu survived by relying on the floating technique, he didn't have the ability to rescue Haiden and Kakuzu. He couldn't beat Xiaoming in the underground cave. In this terrain, no one in Akatsuki can deal with the Bug King. Unless the leader Pain takes action personally. But even Pain is not sure enough to kill the Bug King. If he runs away, there will be endless troubles. It is not a good thing for such a strong man who cannot be dealt with to join the organization. Obito, Zetsu, and Nagato do not want to add such an unnecessary variable. However, the Akatsuki organization has offended the Insect King. If this matter is not settled, the team members will not feel at ease when they go out to work in the future. Now the tailed beasts have not been collected yet. If the Insect King comes to make trouble, it will be really hurt. Black Zetsu and Obito both have ulterior motives and dare not appear in front of the Insect King. The peace talks have to be done by Pain himself.